Hello, dear YouTube friends, viewers, and trolls who's gonna be blocked. Today is August 3rd, 2019, and the topic is, well, suicide loop and the firewall and whole that demonic context. But before I start, I'm not sure if I should, but I feel like, at least for the most of the people, I would like publicly to thank Mary from USA, Christine from Germany, Serge from the UK for their donations. Guys, it really helped out and I hugely appreciate it. You understand? Really. So, now this topic, which is unpleasant, which is personal, and which been touched before by me in Krati and Banlung in Cambodia 2015-16. I'm gonna put links there. So it's a suicide, and it has three major parts: suicide programming. It has the mental images and impulses. It has the mental loop as a rationalization. It has the objective circumstances, and it also has a fourth part, which is the knowledge, which is the understanding of the source of the demonic hierarchy. And I'm not using this term lightly. I'm gonna explain it. And the fifth is the firewall. If it's non-existent, then it's scary. You should have one. And before I continue with this topic, I'm just gonna say this: in the next update or next updates, I'm gonna touch the subject of Jesus Christ and the whole that loop, which was already touched in one update before. Kurno, remind yourself to put it. This was filmed in 2017, I think. So, without further ado, first thing is mental images. So, recently I had a phase of very severe and persistent suicidal images, and I'll give you an example. And I'm sure that many TIs gonna relate to that. I'm just waking up. I'm in a process of waking up. You know, those few seconds before you left the dreamscape, and dreamscapes, there was something happening relating to that astral dreamscape programming. And now I'm waking up, and the very first image, which is already in my mind shortly second before I woke up, is putting noose around my neck and details: blue plastic, thick, location where people actually make suicides near in Rijeka, by the river Riječina, by those old stone water mills, which are of course non-existent anymore since 1913. And so this is the place and location, and even details about, I shit you not, even details about putting that on a YouTube stream. Okay, so because I'm already in meditative state and I know what's going on, I'm scanning the image, and I immediately know this is not coming from me. This is not coming from my soul, or even from within my mind. It's simply projected in my mind. And then I detect the source. Source is outside source. And immediately from the building across mine, where there is Illuminati family living, now I know it for sure, because we had a very severe gang stalking a few days ago, comes some sounds, like somebody's shouting, talking loudly as they like to do. Okay, next thing, you are walking down the street, and suddenly you have two things. You have these mental images. Oh shit, I wish if I had a shotgun, I would just put it in my mouth and boom, hanging, or stuff like that. And huge urge to do it. And again, I'm scanning, I'm observing from where it's coming. It's outside source again. It's not mine. So I'm talking about multiple images per day. Let's say 10, 15 per day, which can stretch itself over like 15 days time span. So now imagine the amount of mental images people who've been targeted with suicidal programming are having is just huge amount. And of course we are talking about previous periods because it builds up. So this is the stage one. Stage two is a mental loop. So this is how I call it. Mental loop is when you enter these images because they're drawing you in. When you enter inside, and then immediately the ego programming gonna kick in, like application in your operative system of your mind, which is gonna start rationalizing why you need to do it. So in my case it would be, oh, you see Krunoha wall is approaching very soon, you're not gonna have means of survival, it's better to do it this way, it's much more honorable than being a homeless, etc., etc. So of course everybody's mind has a particular loop how this intelligence is exploring it, but this one is mine. And again, it's not pleasant to talk about it because I do hear feedback from the building across after every update. And the third thing is the objective circumstances. So these things all come together as a package, as Gesamtkunstwerk from Wagner. You know, everything is there: the dancing, the music, the costumes. So this one is as well, really, black art, schwarze Kunst. And this one is objective circumstances of your life. Let's say objective disease you have, which is chronic, which is not going anywhere, or objective economic circumstances like poverty, etc. So that all works together. And while I was observing it, I became more connected with that entity and also much more aware of it. And I've been struggling with how to explain this, but I'll just gonna give it a try. So demonic entity is maybe not the best term, but I'm simply using term we all inherited culturally. I think demon in Greek means basically spirit. So demonic entity is not some little spirit which is maybe energy hungry and moving through the space. It's not. From what I saw, and I was observing it during one very big football game when it was feeding on the whole stadium. And let's say that this notebook is basically this is like my city of 200,000 people, and within that city you're gonna have a different pillars of energy which can stretch easily 150 meters, 200 meters above in the air, and they're like energy forms. I was playing with terminology, so how to explain it in in computer age. Imagine that it's like plug-in energy plug-in like USB, which is taking the energy from your laptop. It can also send and give communication instructions. It can communicate with other USBs, but it's eventually just part of one much bigger network of the evil matrix. So these entities are not really entities in a sense of you and me. That sense of entity. I'm not talking about just the body and mind and spirit. I'm talking about the whole concept. So they are more like the management system of the matrix, very self-conscious. When it comes to the intelligence, it's like comparing the ant and a human being, and a demon is the human being and you're the ant. And also in terms of experience and knowing how the system is working, but impersonal in a real sense, just like operative system, which is multidimensional, which is self-conscious, and which is simply governing the not only energy extraction, but governing the whole processes in a certain area. Now, imagine that you live in a 50,000 people town. I'm using this example for United States because it's easier to understand. 50,000 people town in States, which started, let's say, in 1850s, continuing till today. and that being was already set up there before first European settlers came. It was there where Native Americans been living, and it already there is already plan for that city hundreds of years before anybody moved in that area, and the layout, the grid, and all these little things like where Masonic temple gonna be placed on a chakra center of that town, where the cathedral gonna be placed, where of course they're gonna hang out and do their sacrifices as well. Also gonna be on a meridian. All these details are of course already part of the matrix, which is growing these civilizations like ours for billions of years, milking energy same. So, and you walk in, and it's actually, of course, it has its elements on our ground. Illuminati families, the reptilian beings, which are just a level. Reptilians are basically when that entity enters into 3D. These are the extensions of it, soulless extensions of the one. There can be only one. You understand me? The one. And so this is the layout on the ground. You have reptiles. You have, of course, humans which been mind controlled by them, Illuminati. Then you have the even lower level of humans, the psychopaths, the narcissists, which are direct linked to these demonic entities. And then you have all of the people working for the system, basically people who are working. And it can. And now I'm coming to the firewall. It can enter anybody's mind who doesn't have the knowledge, simply the understanding that this is how this matrix is constructed, and this is how it operates. So when people think that everything which is coming into their mind is their reality, so these narcissists and psychopaths, they have this strong alter ego, which is telling them what to do, which is telling them that they need to punish you, which is always judgmental, and you know how it goes. And if you don't have a firewall, if you, let's say, narcissist in the worst case of scenario, but I'm talking to the people hopefully which are anywhere between narcissists and enlightened human beings, all right? So these people, they cannot even, they absolutely haven't slightest idea that what is entering their minds is demonic voice. Immediately these ideas are becoming reality in its mind, right? And that leads me to the topic number 5, which is the firewall. So what the fuck is the firewall? And I was really, now when I was swimming, I was really trying to figure it out how to explain you. So I have only easy way and a hard way. So first I'm gonna start with the easy way. Easy way is be mindful. Be very mindful what is coming into your mind, because what is coming into your mind is not necessarily yours. So this is the first thing. And did I give you much information? Not really. I gave you standard bullshit from the Buddhistic organization I belong to. Being mindful sounds like really great. Like, hey, go to gym every day. Eat healthy food. Excellent. But in practice, So second thing is the hard way is my links on meditation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is, you get some more directions there, and I can't explain you more than that you really need your practice, you really need your discernment to understand all that. So basically suicidal programming is something which is coming from the demonic hierarchy. And why it's coming from the demonic hierarchy? Now imagine this. Imagine that you are the entity which is controlling ant farm. Literally, there are ants by your house living in multiple layers. There is a queen, of course, the same structure as ours. The soldiers are soldiering and workers are working. And let's just imagine that you have means of extracting energy from these ants. There is purpose for their existence. And if you notice an ant which is not really automaton, which is not really following directly your mental impulses, which is not necessarily easily following the directions of others, what you gonna do? Well, you can be barbaric, you can take a finger and squash the ant. However, that's gonna disturb the farm, especially if you have let's say 5, 6, 7, or 8% of ants like that within the farm. So what you gonna do? You don't wanna disturb the farm, right? Because you're smart entity. How about sending suicidal thoughts to that ant? Kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. Jump into that little pool of water, into that little pool of mud. Just kill yourself. And then ant goes, kills itself. You done nothing, right? There was no finger, no ant blood, and ants like problem, 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 problem. So if that is not working, what you gonna do? You're just gonna exclude him from the ant farm. No, he's not gonna have a job. He's not gonna be allowed to eat. He's not gonna be allowed to have a home. He's gonna turn into homeless ant. And when ant is homeless, gecko can come, take it, bye bye. Nobody even notice him, right? Because he's not member of community anymore. So this is why they are doing it. Because when these guys, and when I say demonic entities, I mean them and their players on the ground. When they go killing, then we have a Second World War and post Second World War killings. And people notice that. But you can't run civilizations with that. You have to run them as we've been run so far. So this is topic on the suicide. And if you have any questions, please ask me.
It's a grim fact. Suicide is a major issue in the United States where someone takes their own life every 12.3 minutes. Children, mothers, fathers, grandparents. First, the numbers for context, then the contributing factors. Suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in 2016, the most recent year of stats on record, and it's been a leading cause for years. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Suicide was the second leading cause of death in 2016 among people 10 to 34 years old, and the fourth among 35 to 54-year-olds. For some perspective, there were more than twice as many suicides, about 45,000, as there were homicides, 19,000. The most common method for suicide is firearms at 51%. Next, suffocation, including hanging, at about 26%, then poisoning and other. Men are more likely to use firearms. Women often turn to poisoning.
If the black dog of depression makes you feel like the saddest soul on earth, you're not alone.
There's no easy answer as to why people choose death by suicide, but there are some clues out there. An increase among middle-aged people from 2005 to 2010 may have been in response to the economic recession. That's what a 2015 medical study found. Also, young people in rural areas are more likely to end their own lives than those in urban regions. There's even a pattern of more suicides taking place in the springtime. And for some young people, entertainment might create a link, or at least an interest. A study published in the journal Internal Medicine found that since 2017, the release of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, based on a teen girl who kills herself, suicide queries about prevention and methods increased online by 19%. The problem here is multidimensional, as are the people who carry out or consider suicide. Often, maybe most of the time, the cause is unique to whatever darkness is driving despair. 90% of those who kill themselves had a diagnosable psychiatric disorder, be it depression or anxiety or PTSD. One thing that we know can be done is this: if you believe someone's in crisis, talk to them. Experts say it's important to be direct, asking questions like, do you want to hurt yourself? And if you feel helpless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is 1-800-273-TALK.
And statistically speaking, yeah, it's a heavy subject.